Your description is right. The Netherlands consists of a really nice people. We have great people here, but we have a terrible government. Our government consists of a bunch of liars and inhumane thieves. So what they're doing actually now is on the basis of EU regulations surrounding nitrogen emissions, our government is going to expropriate our farmers. And they're actually going to expropriate over 3,000 farms until 2030. And so this is all under the guise, again, of this nitrogen crisis, which frankly is nothing but a manufactured crisis. It doesn't exist apart from on paper. And all of these people, the Dutch farming industry is a huge industry. We are an incredibly tiny country, but we are the second largest exporter of agricultural products after the United States. I mean, that is something. We are good at this stuff. And a lot of farmers have been in this business, not just themselves, but their ancestors, oftentimes for centuries on end. And now suddenly we have a government that says, oh, there's climate change. And by the way, you are going to have to give up your land, not to the market, not for you to keep it, but for you to give it to us. So that should tell you everything that you need to know. There is a hidden agenda behind this. And it has two facets, I would say. The Dutch government needs more land because we have an ever-growing population, not because the Dutch people are having a ton of babies, but because we have open borders and we have about 1,000 migrants coming in every single week. 300,000 we had this year coming in. So we have a housing crisis. Wow. New houses need to be built. Where are you going to put those people, right? Everything is completely full. So they need new land. That's one thing that they now want the farmers gone for. Obviously, they're not saying that, but it is the truth. And the second thing I think is that this is a general tendency that you see all throughout the Western world. There's an attack on farmers, I think, because farmers pose a threat to the globalist institutions that want to push something like the Great Reset. If you control the food supply, you control the people. And farmers obviously stand in the way of that. They are a very independent group that function self-sufficiently besides the government. And you can't have that if you are trying to control people and their food supply. So there is a very sinister agenda, once again, hiding behind this. And the result is that we now have a government that thinks that once they say it, you are just going to have to give up your property. These are your rights that are being taken away, in this case, the farmers' rights, under the pretext of, again, a crisis that they can just create out of thin air.
The farmer that we spoke to said the farmers who are being targeted, some 3,000 of them are being offered 120% the value of their land. And I don't know how they figure out the value, how they, I'm going to guess that they're getting lowballed on that assessment. But how do they expect the farmers to live on an ongoing basis? You get a one-time payout. And then how do you continue paying your bills unless that's a massive number, like winning the lottery, that you can just retire on from now to the, it could be decades that you're still around and alive and need to support yourself and your family. So how do they expect the farmers to live on?
They don't give a rat's ass, excuse my French, but really our government doesn't care about the interests of its own people. It caters to a different agenda. It caters to the European Union. It caters to, obviously in this case, not democratically unelected people. The people who are pushing this in those institutions, in the European Union, are people that nobody ever voted for. So whatever happens to those farmers is none of our government's concern, clearly. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this. They would be listening to the farmers, their pleas, and also to people in general who have stood up against this and all of the protests and the international outrage that it has caused. Clearly, this government does not play by the rules. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about you. They don't care if you starve. I almost feel like that is the goal if you see what they are doing in a time where there's already a lot of issues with the food supply, with the supply chain in general. Why on earth would you start attacking farmers in this time?
Right. And literally, it's getting close to attacking. The farmers got out there and protested. And you know what it takes to make a farmer go out and protest? For the most part, they want nothing to do with this kind of public display. They tend to be more private people. They farm their land. They are in touch with nature and God in a way that a lot of people aren't. but they're upset and they're out there and the protests are being disbanded. They're not allowed, right? They've got to move on. They can't have their say. I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of when they cracked down on the truckers in Canada. It's like when you see truckers come out and look at this and try to make a point, or you see farmers come out and try to make a point. Can't they have their moment? Like let them say their piece, Eva.
Yeah, well, no, even in the summer, they even shot at them, and they shot at a 16-year-old boy that was there at the protest, actually driving away from the protest scene. So, the whole concept, again, our government does not respect fundamental rights, does not respect property rights. They don't care about these farmers whatsoever. They just want the land. So none of the rules that used to be in place are valid anymore. Our government just does what it wants. And so this is not liberal democracy. They can say that, but if you're only allowed to protest when the government says it's all right, then you obviously don't have a right to protest. And that's exactly what's going on here. You would expect this maybe in China or in other far ends of the world, but not in Western liberal democracies. But then again, I don't think that we can say that we have that anymore when this is our reality.
Dominique, one of the reasons why we care so much about it, to be honest, is we worry whether the Netherlands is the canary in the coal mine. It's like we worry this could happen in the United States. We worry this could happen in the UK. Like, is this just the first to go? Because, I mentioned there's nothing wrong with Prince William drawing attention to climate change. That's a nonpartisan issue. Okay, we see climate change. Very reasonable people are saying it's happening, and there's steps we can all take that are reasonable, makes sense, to try to address it. And then there are the extremists who are like, no more cows. Everybody's a vegan. Get rid of your SUVs. And like the California law that just said we can't have gas cars anymore. We're going to all be driving electric vehicles. And 13 states follow California, and I'm in one of them. So I got to kiss my gas guzzling car goodbye, which I really love within the next few years. But anyway, we worry this is the canary in the coal mine. And I do wonder whether this is a preview of what's coming to your country and our country, but and more Western countries.
Of course. And I think what's important to say is that the situation that's going on in the Netherlands, with the farmers that are fighting 3,000 of their farms being torn away from them by the Dutch government, this is a precursor of what is to come, because it seems that these climate obsessives are very, very focused on our food supply at a time when our food supply is extremely insecure globally. So why they'd be doing this now, which will be sure to make food price inflation worse, 100%, is extremely peculiar. But you mentioned Prince William. My problem with Prince William and his climate virtue signaling is that these people that do seem soft and nice, they're just concerned about the planet, they seem to be aligning themselves with people that do believe in ripping 3,000 farms away from honest working people. And that is the problem. Climate change is being used, I believe, as a mirage to tear people's rights away. And it's wrong. They want to replace rolling hills, farms with, wind turbines and solar panels. They want to create some sort of dystopian hell, and people have every right to speak out about it. And I think that unless people start speaking out about this, it's going to be too late. Sort of the iron fist of tyranny is coming down hard, and it's coming down fast, and it's being done in the name of climate change. I think we are repeatedly using crises to be able to cover up for a real agenda, which is control. And like you said, every normal person, I think, can acknowledge that I think that the climate has changed as a result of human behavior. But I do not subscribe to the idea for 1 second that we're in some sort of crisis that means we have to tear land and livelihood away from people. I think that very idea is dangerous. And I think organizations such as the European Union, which thank God the UK left, are perpetuating this dangerous idea and these dangerous authoritarian policies, and they need to be stopped.
Imagine buying an Italian sports car or your dream house for less than $1 a day. Well, now you can own an X chair, and that is the office chair that I personally use, not to mention Abby, and it's arguably the finest office chair in the world for just $20 a month. Yes, for less than $1 a day, you can own something that is going to make the hours spent at your desk 1,000 times more comfortable and productive. Not only do I love my office chair, my X chair, but I've given one of these to a couple of people, including there's a contractor at my house, absolutely loves it. From the moment I first sat down in my X chair, I immediately felt the difference. Trust me, once you sit down in an X chair, you're going to understand. There's an X chair for every style and every budget. They even offer built-in massage and heating and cooling. Love that. And all for less than $1 a day. Check out the options and their amazing financing plans too at xchairmk.com. That's the letter X, chairmk.com. No other chair can compare to the wonderful X chair. Go to xchairmk.com now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.